On August 11th, 2026, Trump Media and Technology Group released its second quarter financial results, revealing a net loss of $238.1 million. A year earlier, the company had reported a quarterly loss of about $20 million. The number immediately raised a bigger question. How can a company associated with one of the most politically influential social media platforms in America lose hundreds of millions of dollars in just 3 months? Trump Media, commonly known as TMTG, is the parent company of Truth Social, the social media platform launched as an alternative to mainstream technology platforms. The company was founded by former U.S. President Donald Trump and initially built its identity around social media and political communication. But TMTG has gradually tried to become much more than a social media company. Over the past few years, the company has moved into areas including digital assets, financial products, streaming, mobile services, and other technology-related businesses. That strategy created the possibility of a much larger company, but it also introduced a new source of financial risk, and that risk became particularly visible in 2026. The first thing to understand is that a $238 million net loss does not necessarily mean that Trump Media physically spent $238 million in cash during the quarter. A significant portion of the loss was connected to changes in the market value of its investments and digital assets. When the value of an asset falls, accounting rules can require a company to recognize an unrealized loss, even if the company has not actually sold that asset. That distinction is extremely important when looking at Trump Media's financial results. The company's recent financial strategy has left it exposed to movements in cryptocurrency and other financial assets. When those assets rise, the company can record gains. When they fall, the accounting impact can move sharply in the opposite direction. That is one reason why Trump Media's headline loss can look dramatically larger than the revenue generated by its core operations. And the revenue number tells another part of the story. During the second quarter of 2026, Trump Media generated approximately $1.7 million in revenue, compared with about $0.9 million during the same period a year earlier. So revenue did increase, but the scale remained extremely small compared with the company's reported quarterly loss. This creates the central business challenge for TMTG. The company may have substantial assets and access to significant capital, but assets alone do not create a sustainable operating business. Eventually, the company's products and services need to generate meaningful, recurring revenue. That is where the strategy becomes particularly interesting. Instead of relying only on advertising revenue from Truth Social, Trump Media has been searching for additional ways to monetize the audience and information surrounding its platform. One of the newest ideas is called Truth API. The basic concept is to provide paying customers with access to data from influential accounts on Truth Social. According to Reuters, the company had already signed more than 10 customer agreements, with some contracts potentially worth as much as $100,000 per month. If that business develops successfully, it could give Trump Media something it currently needs badly: a new source of recurring revenue that is not entirely dependent on traditional social media advertising. But Truth API also creates difficult questions. Truth Social contains posts from politically influential users, including Donald Trump. If financial institutions or other organizations pay for access to information from influential accounts, questions can arise about timing, information advantages, and the appropriate boundaries between political communication and commercial data services. Those questions have already attracted criticism and legal scrutiny. Trump Media has disputed allegations against the company, meaning that claims, allegations, and confirmed facts need to be kept separate when examining the controversy. At the same time, the company has been reconsidering parts of its broader diversification strategy. Interim CEO Kevin McGurn has indicated that Trump Media is moving toward greater focus on its core social media mission rather than aggressively pursuing every new business opportunity. The company has also continued to explore major strategic projects, including its proposed combination with TAE Technologies, a fusion energy company. That may sound unusual for a company best known for social media, But it reveals something important about Trump Media. This is no longer simply a story about a social media platform competing with Facebook, Instagram, or X. It is a story about a publicly traded company attempting to build a diversified business around a politically powerful audience. The problem is that diversification can work in two very different ways. If new businesses create strong revenue and cash flow, diversification can reduce dependence on a single product. But if those businesses require significant capital while producing limited revenue, diversification can increase complexity and financial volatility. Trump Media is currently facing exactly that test. Its $238.1 million quarterly loss does not, by itself, prove that the company is failing. Nor does the company's large asset base prove that its strategy is working. Both sides of the financial picture have to be examined. The company needs to demonstrate that its core products can generate sustainable revenue while controlling the financial risks created by its investments and expansion plans. And this is where the next stage of Trump Media's story becomes important. Truth Social already has something many new technology companies spend years trying to build: a recognizable audience and a highly distinctive brand. But having an audience and turning that audience into a durable business are two very different things. For Trump Media, the next challenge is therefore not simply surviving one bad quarter. It is proving that its political influence, social media platform, financial assets, and new technology products can eventually be transformed into a business model capable of producing consistent and sustainable revenue. The $238 million loss is only one number. The bigger question is what happens after it. If Truth API and other new products succeed, Trump Media could gradually develop into a broader technology and information company. If they fail to generate meaningful revenue, the company could remain heavily dependent on capital, market conditions, and the continued strength of its core audience. That is the real business story behind the $238 million loss.